All right, guys, we're ready for our Four Seasons sunroom, and Daddy's gonna get a rec room with refreshments.
Oh no, we'll be sleeping under the stars.
Mom, what about the one with, the fun?
Nice try, little bro. It's a gym. My gym.
Hey, Grandma's getting her Four Seasons garden room. Weather tight and still like being outdoors.
Maybe a living room. Oh no, wait, a family hub.
Yeah! No matter what the budget, the season, or the climate, Four Seasons sunrooms let you and your family enjoy the outdoors inside. Call now to receive your free, no-obligation brochure from the premier manufacturer of sunrooms since 1975.
More reasons for Four Seasons now.
To find out more, call toll-free 800-928-7007. That's 800-928-7007. Call 800-928-7007 today.
Wake up, America. I think I got something to say to you. I say this every week. I love the United States of America, and I want you to love the United States of America too. Office Hours with Dr. A is not a safe space, so enter at your own risk. You will be exposed to the truth, and I will endure the consequences. Again, rest assured, I will not try to put my brain into your head. I will, however, motivate you to think and to use the analytical part of your brain that very few people want to use because it requires actual effort, it requires actual work.
You've reached the office of Dr. Randy Arrington. Please have a seat, and the doctor will be with you in just a moment.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. A, and you're on with Office Hours of Dr. A. And, of course, Lou Esposito, I'm hoping, is on the line. She is, of course, my producer, my sidekick. And those of you that know us, I've given her the honorary tactical call sign of Wench. Why? Because she doesn't take crap from anybody. Are you there, Lou?
I'm here, and I got to say that call sign has made me even worse.
You are infamous now out there in the world of Twitter trolldom. And one of these days, I might give you a Twitter troll grade of A. So far, it's been B+.
I want an A+, doggone it.
Yeah, one day.
Yeah.
Only Ricky Robinson and I think JD have gotten the A+.
JD deserves one. Yeah.
Well, you and Stacey are down there at B-, B+, whatever, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
But
you just do that to aggravate us, and we know it.
Well, you know what? By the way, I was in the romper room today listening to Bloody Mary and Broads, JD and Stacey. You made a critical error. You said that Ricky Robinson was the strike leader. No.
No. I called you strike leader. I called him boss.
Yeah, well, he is the strike leader. Ricky Robinson, the air boss, Lou. Air boss.
Okay, air boss Rick.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, before we get into the main topic here, which is Mrs. Clinton, JD and Stacey today on Bloody Marys and Broad Streets were talking on their show about, I can't remember if he said unsung heroes or ignored heroes.
I'm going to correct you again because I'm the producer and it's my job to do that. It's broadsheets.
Okay, broadsheets. Bloody Marys and Broadsheets.
It's media analysis.
Well, that's a newspaper. That's what they used to call newspapers back in the 19th century. But they were talking about, I'm not sure it was unsung or ignored heroes, and I want to expound on that just a little bit, that topic just a little bit. And before we get into Mrs. Clinton, I want to sort of start the show off with a tribute. Most of us are familiar with the quote by President Teddy Roosevelt. It's called "The Man in the Arena." And today, Dr. A, I want to change that up just a little bit because I think it's mega important for Americans to understand something about the struggle we face today with the threat of tyranny of all brands, all names, and the possibility of America's national collapse as a free nation. I'm making this change because I want to honor and homage to our, listen to me people, courageous female conservative patriots who boldly stand up every day to fight despotism and to preserve our cherished God-given individual liberty, and who defend and protect America's longevity as a free nation. Now, trust Dr. Ray in this one subject. By the way, I digress for a second. I get accused by Lou Wench of using that term too often, trust Dr. Ray on this one subject. She says I use it 4 or 5 times during the course of a 1-hour show. I apologize
did say
for
that because you do.
Well, it's one of my mantras, like speak the truth, endure the consequences. So trust Dr. Ray on this one subject. We desperately need you honorable ladies now more than ever. So I've changed that Teddy Roosevelt quote to read the following. The woman in the arena. Listen to me. It is not the critic who counts, not the woman who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the one who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without erring and shortcoming. But actually strive to do the deeds. Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends herself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and at the worst, if she fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that her place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory or defeat. I do know that we've got lots of good, courageous women all over this great nation who indeed are boldly stepping up to the plate, Lou, to defend American liberty. And I love that. They are true American heroes, mostly unsung American heroes. Our true conservative, patriotic women heroes are putting their personal lives on hold to defend traditional America from the totalitarian scourge. Again, whatever brand name they adopt for their heinous activities. I'm talking about patriotic women like Lou Esposito, Stacey Lennox, Michelle Ray, Jody and Diane, Michelle Malkin, Andrea Kay, Sarah Palin, Ann Coulter, Laura Ingraham, Janine Pirro, people in the K98 romper room, as I call it, like Miss Cowboy Boots, Tina Dillingham, people like that. They are doing things as women in the arena. They're putting their personal lives sort of on hold to do things to protect this country. And they're not all doing the same things. We're doing different things. But we all have one goal in mind. That is the longevity of the United States of America as a free country, as that shining city upon the hill that God placed there for all to see. People, listen to me. Dr. A believes truly that the United States, like Reagan, is our last best hope for the world and for mankind. We are that city that was placed on the hill by God for all to see. I truly believe that. And we have to protect it. You know what? It might be at the cost of our own lives. And I think next week, Lou, we're going to go into sheep, wolves, and sheepdogs, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to expound on that. But I think that's something that's vital that has to happen right now. You've got people that want to bring this country down. They want to destroy the United States of America because they have been brought up, they have been mind raped by their cultural Marxist professors to believe that the United States is the great Satan. And they want to bring us down. And nothing can be further from the truth in their mindset. Somebody today in the show that we were just listening to earlier, Bloody Marys and Broad Streets, said that the seat at the State of the Union, last State of the Union by Barack Obama, next to his wife, Mrs. Obama, was going to be empty. And somebody said, nobody wants to sit there. I said, I would love to sit there because I'd love to have the opportunity to educate her properly. Just give me a chance. Just give me a chance.
That would go well.
Well, I would do it. Now, I named a few women that I believe are true American heroes, patriotic women, courageous, true conservatives. I just mentioned a few. But those of you, both of you out there who are listening to Office Hours with Dr. A today, both of my listeners, you're supposed to laugh at that. That's funny.
I did laugh.
Okay. Well, I want you to know that yesterday I was honored to have lunch with two of these courageous, heroic women. I went up to Woodstock, Georgia, which is this little enclave up in northern Georgia, up by the K-98
Cherokee
northern
County.
Georgia, Cherokee County, the studios up there. And I got to have lunch with Stacy Lennox and Lou Esposito. I call her Miss Stacy, the Cornell chick, which she doesn't like. I'm gonna change that to the Clemson chick. That might piss her off even more.
No, well, you should call her a Cornell lady, and maybe that
Cornell
would be better.
Well, chick is kind of bold and biting and cutting.
It
you know,
is, but
I'm on the
lady's much more respectful. So
all right. Well, you know how I feel. You know how I feel about her. But I was honored to be up there with those two and share lunch, break bread, and talk about the great issues of the day, which was very enlightening and fun for me. And I truly believe that those two ladies are true American heroes. They're putting their personal lives on hold or rearranging, if you will, their personal lives to be in the arena. People, they are in the arena. They're trying to get things done. They're trying to save the United States of America from the current totalitarian scourge, whatever the brand name of that totalitarian scourge might be at the time. And you need to honor them out there in the K-98 and in the WNJC listening audience because they are true American heroes. There's a bunch of them out there. Most of our moms are true American heroes. Like it or not, our children are raised predominantly by our moms, and our moms are so important. Every Mother's Day I write an article about our mothers, being totally respectful to them and trying to get people to understand the value that our mothers play in the total scheme that is the United States, this experiment that the Founding Fathers created, the United States of America. And they're heroes. I believe that. They don't seek that moniker, but they are true American heroes. Trust me on this one subject. So, God bless all these courageous American women. The nation desperately needs your voices of reason and compassion. Bravo Zulu, ladies. Dr. A humbly salutes you. Well, what do you think about that opening mantra?
Was that my surprise? Is that the surprise that you said that you had for Stacy and I?
It is, and I don't always have surprises that are going to, shock you. I don't know if that shocked you or not. Some of my surprises are nice. Like I just gave homage to Slickery Trigger's wife, Tina. I think she's a true American hero.
And I got to tell you, it gave me goosebumps, and because you had told me that you had a surprise for us, and I knew that that's what it was, it almost brought tears to my eyes, especially in the beginning. So that was beautiful, Dr. I'm going to cut that clip out and use the heck out of it.
It's funny you mentioned that. I'm looking at my phone right now as we're broadcasting. My mother's calling me. She must have heard that.
Aw. Yeah, that reminds me of the commercial where moms always call. If you're a mom, you always call at the wrong time.
I wish my dad was still alive, the hero that he was.
Yes,
in various venues
he'd
in
be
life.
proud.
Yeah,
he'd be proud.
So it was fun to listen to Bloody Marys and Broad Streets today. All right. I enjoy listening to those two. They are both funny, like you have been telling me. I don't see it, but you keep telling me they're funny, and I know that to be funny, you have to be very intelligent, and they both are. JD and Stacey are both highly intellectual people, and I'm looking forward to rekindling with them up at the CPAC, what do they call that?
Baby.
Conservative Political Action Convention that will be broadcasting from Radio Row, and I'm going to try to get a interview with Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, some of these people.
Yeah, Stacey said you could have that one.
Well,
she has no interest.
I'm a very honorable man, a gentleman. I never ask them ugly questions. I just ask them the hard questions and let them answer. I'm not like Bill O'Reilly. Interrupt them. I'll let them answer the question because we want to hear what they have to say. That's what's important.
Yeah.
We're vetting these people. Let them talk, and then you, the American people, get to decide: do they have veracity or not?
Yeah, it's easy. I'm not defending O'Reilly or anybody else in the media, but it's easier for you because you give people 40 minutes instead of 5.
Well, they deserve that.
Yeah.
All right. So today we're going to talk. I hope we can get this in one show because you know me. I like 2 shows, 2-parters, and you don't. But
yeah, I'm getting used to it. I'm going with the flow.
Here's the title of today's show: Sociopath or Pathological Liar. What difference at this point does it make? And I'm going to tell you what difference at this point it makes. Now, listen, people. A sociopath is an individual who has been medically diagnosed with, what do they have? They have a disorder. It's called antisocial personality disorder, ASPD. This mental illness is a chronic condition, meaning it lasts forever, not just quick, acute. A chronic condition in which the feelings and the rights of other human beings are totally marginalized by the individual that has the sociopathic disorder. In some instances, Lou, this type of mental disease can be so acute in its chronic condition that the affected person believes they are above the law, and they often show no shame for callously breaking societal rules, societal norms on a routine basis. Does that bring to mind anybody right there, anybody to your mind when I just said that they believe they're above the law? Can you think of anybody that fits that description?
Yeah, I can think of quite a few. And they're all inside the Beltway.
They're Beltway bandits. Yes, I like that. I made that term up, Beltway bandits and mind raped.
You made it up? Yeah, those are all drinking words, by the way, audience.
Well, you know what? You don't have to drink rum like the Dread Pirate Ron does. By the way, he's having back problems, but bless his heart, gets him out.
And we hope he feels better.
Well, he could get a nice cup of coffee. That coffee I had yesterday at that old train station, the Freight Cafe that we went to, was just delightful. And it was ironic that when I sat there waiting for you guys to show up, you know how girls are late. Guys, you know what? You back me up on this one subject.
We're ish kind of girls.
Women are always late. They show up, they make an entrance. But I was waiting for them, and the guy came up and asked me what I wanted. And I said, well, give me a cup of coffee. So I had the coffee, and they said, do you want to start with like an appetizer? I said, well, eventually I'm going to get shrimp and grits, which I tried just for you. It was a Southern fare restaurant, and I'm a Southern California surfer boy that became a TAC pilot in the Navy through God's grace. White privilege. I was privileged to serve in that capacity for 20 years, defending the United States of America. But I didn't even know what grits were until I moved to Georgia and
They're
Louisiana.
They're a beautiful thing. Grits are a beautiful thing.
Well, shrimp and grits?
I had cheese grits.
Does that go together?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I had in honor of you. But I told the guy that's what I wanted to get, but I was waiting for these two
I'm going to say a word. Yeah, I'm going to say a word that everybody makes fun of the way I say it. But those shrimp and grits come from Charleston.
They do come from Charleston. I like that. Charleston, North. Wait a minute. Which Carolina is it?
Stop it. Just keep moving.
Okay. So, so the guy, when I said I was going to get some biscuits, what he did was he brought out this tray of homemade chips, potato chips, and celery and carrots and a bunch of other stuff. And in the middle was this big bowl of something that looked pinkish. And I said, sir, what's this? I didn't order this. He said, well, that's pimento spread. I said, well, it looks great. Let's just keep it. So I kept it. And you guys liked it so much when you finally showed up, 45 minutes late, guys, that we ordered a second
and
helping.
I'm going to give you another really Southern comment. Sugar. I've loved pimento and cheese all my life.
Sugar.
Sugar. Yeah, sugar. Exactly, sugar. I've always loved pimento and cheese.
So
it was fabulous. Right. And just since we're talking about them, that is the Freight Kitchen. It's an old train depot converted into a restaurant. It's in Woodstock, Georgia, and it is fabulous.
I tell you what, I was honored to be there, and the conversation and the Southern fare was delightful. People, it was funny while I was waiting for you. Again, you were 45 minutes late.
No, we weren't.
I asked the guy. I pulled a young lady over, one of the cute waitresses, and food servers, and I said, "Ma'am, I got a question for you. What is Woodstock famous for?" And she said, "Absolutely nothing." And I laughed. But it was kind of a quaint little town. 23,000 people live there. It's got some nice shopping.
It's a great little town. It's just far enough from Atlanta to not be too much in the city, but it's close enough to Atlanta to be not too much in the country.
It was packed. In fact, I had to park in South Carolina and walk. But
yeah, you're hilarious.
Okay, I'm learning from JD. He's teaching me how to be funny. And that Irish woman from Cornell, Miss Stacy, she's teaching me how to have patience. Of course, I'm teasing. She doesn't have much patience. She informed me of that yesterday about her lineage.
I have enough patience for all three of us.
You're a Viking, and she's an Irish. Well.
I definitely am a Viking. Okay. Some of my cousins constantly remind me. I have Thor's hammer on my ankle, by the way.
We're talking about a sociopath, okay, or a pathological liar. We're going to get into that here. The most obvious sociopath symptom, again, is the total disregard for the principles of right and wrong. The sociopath, what do they possess a warped sense of superiority and a lack of empathy, if you will, if that's the right term, for other people. You know what, Lou? You know what that means? That means they are out of touch and unable to comprehend or recognize what other human beings are dealing with. Quite frequently, sociopaths feel absolutely no remorse about hurting others and often may try to manipulate people for just fun or for personal gain. How warped is that as a human characteristic?
Pretty doggone warped.
Pretty warped.
Yeah.
My dad taught me to treat everybody the same. When I was in Hollywood making Kerosene Cowboys, my book, into a movie, and I went on motion picture sets and lots my whole life with my dad. After his military career as a submarine officer, he was in Hollywood for 34 years. So I've been going on meeting these Hollywood stars and starlets and interacting with them, the makeup people, the people that do the props, the people that sweep up, my whole life. So for me to have my book turned into a motion picture was so honorable. I wish my dad was around to see it when it finally came out. But he taught me he said, son, you treat everybody exactly the same. You treat the top producers and directors and actors just like you treat the guy that sweeps up at night. Treat them all with honor and respect. And if you do that, you will be viewed as an honorable young man. And so I can't not be that way. Now, if you start trying to hurt somebody like my family or me or some of these friends that I love dearly, I'm talking about agape-type love, a Christian-type love, I'm going to come after you as the warrior that I am, the sheepdog that I am, with both barrels ablazing. I'm going to protect myself, my family, my country, my community, and the people around me. I might lose my own life, but I'm not going to let you hurt somebody without me trying to stop you. And my dad taught me to be that way, and I can't be otherwise. And that's what all of us should be. I'm sure Tina Dillingham, who's Slick Rick Trigger's wife, is that way. And I know you are, and Stacey Lennox. And, a lot of people, when I said Ann Coulter and Laura Ingraham, they might have went, oh. Now, you got to realize, Ann is an entertainer. Ann is very funny. She's very intellectual. She writes some good stuff. She's a Trump fan. I understand that, so that makes Miss Stacey pretty upset with her. But she's out there really trying to make a difference. And I believe that's the truth, okay? So that's why I gave Bravo Zulu accolades to all of you ladies out there in America. These people that are sociopaths are out of touch, unable to deal with or comprehend or recognize what you and I and some of the other people in America are going through, okay? And they will manipulate us or hurt us for fun. Sociopaths, Lou, regularly use lies, deception, charisma, and charm when they are attempting to manipulate people. And you know what? This type of behavior makes it quite difficult to accurately identify them. I heard people on the show today, JD and Stacey, were talking about how, I think Stacey said, it might be fun to go to a bar and have a cup of coffee or a beer with Bill Clinton because he's charming. And I made the comment in the romper room, that's probably true, but then when Mrs. Clinton enters any room, she sucks the life and the energy out of that room by the type of person she is.
Yeah.
But I think that that Mr. Clinton also, just like Mrs. Clinton, Mr. Clinton, Barack Obama, they're sociopaths, and they have no regard for anybody but themselves. The other two use charisma and charm more often than Mrs. Clinton does. But that's what they do. In some cases, the sociopath may be outwardly hostile and aggressive, like Mrs. Clinton, especially when they're challenged or caught in their web of deceit. Just the other day, and this question was posed to Mrs. Clinton during an interview from a source that you least expected, from Chris Matthews, that apologist that he is for the Democratic Party and the communists. He asked her, what's the difference between a communist, a socialist, and a Democrat? She couldn't answer. And she was like appalled that he asked that question. She couldn't answer the question, just like the DNC
because she couldn't figure out how to apply the Alinsky tactic of ridiculing him.
Well,
that was what she really wanted to do, but she couldn't quite figure out how to do it.
She could. She was caught by surprise. Today,
that's right.
There is no difference between a socialist, communist, and a progressive Democrat. She said, the way she answered the question was, I'm not one of those. And he said, well, you didn't answer the question. What's the difference between a socialist and a Democrat? And she said, well, you have to ask Bernie Sanders that. I can tell you this. I'm not one of those. I'm a progressive Democrat. Lou, a progressive Democrat is a communist.
Thank you for saying that.
Term.
Thank you.
That's what Roosevelt, I'm talking about FDR, advised people to use that term when he instituted the New Deal. He was a socialist as well.
Exactly.
He said, use the term progressive.
Too many
people. Progressive Democrat is a communist, Lou.
Exactly. Too many people don't realize that.
Do you realize that?
Of course I do. You know me better than that. You know I know that.
Now listen, I know Jody and Diane and Tina Dillingham are keeping up with Dr. A today. You think Stacy's keeping up? She probably went to sleep.
No. Yeah, Stacy's keeping up. Stop it.
All right. You know what, Lou? A pathological liar, what do? They lie instinctively. They lie spontaneously, usually without perceiving the consequences of their actions. They lie on a regular basis with no benefit, when no benefit is gained from lying, or even if they unwittingly ensnare themselves in a sort of a cobweb of falsehoods. A pathological liar will not restrain their instincts to lie, and this is usually a vanquishing personal characteristic. A pathological liar will resort to spewing lies regardless of their situational awareness. That's a naval aviation term, situational awareness, knowing what's going on around you. Why? Because lying behavior has become second nature to them. Lying has been deeply ingrained into their personality, into their character. As such, a pathological liar lies out of habit. Lying is their normal behavior when responding to questions, while speaking the truth is unwieldy and difficult. But deception feels to them proper and natural. What do you think about that?
I think it's a really good explanation of it, and it sounds really familiar when it comes to a lot of politicians. They don't even think about it, and they don't even think about their previous lies and how it might compare. It's so spontaneous with them. You
want to take an obscene commercial break here for K98
I do.
and
Actually,
WNJC and let them sell some stuff?
Well, what we're going to do today is we're going to listen to a little bit of music from a friend of ours.
Oh, cool.
And I think it's really fitting considering what we're talking about.
Okie doke.
And this is Tennessee Jed. It's off of one of his first album. I wanted to play something off of his new one, but couldn't get it together in time. But this is a really great song that really fits what we're talking about.
Is it Edwin Starr? No.
This is a great American struggling artist and a conservative, I might add. Well,
excellent.
Actually, he probably wouldn't like me to call him that because he's a bit of a libertarian. But you know, he's a constitutionalist kind of guy, and he writes really good music. He's a great artist. tnjed.net. Here we go, and it's just going to take about a minute.
Okie doke.
Midday found me and
All right. That's a nice song, isn't it?
It is. And, the next time that we meet up there at the Freight Weight Cafe there in Woodstock, that guy there to sing, so we have something to listen to while we're eating our shrimp and grits.
He's about to go on tour. We'll make that announcement at a later date.
Excellent. Hey, you know what? Pathological liar is not a documented psychological disorder, but sociopath is. It's recognized as such by the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. That is a publication that's put forth by the American Psychiatric Association. Sociopaths and pathological liars engage in lying behavior for various reasons, a number of reasons. And let's look at some of these. Some of their motives include admiration, a desire for admiration and popularity, control and manipulation, low self-esteem, sympathy and attention, a desire to feel important, insecurity. Now, Mrs. Clinton, I don't like calling her Hillary. I like calling her Mrs. Clinton. I'm sure that infuriates her, but it's for me, it's respect. Mrs. Clinton is a notorious liar. And in fact, she may be simultaneously a pathological liar and a sociopath. What I want to do here for the two listeners out there in the audience is let's examine 3 of her well-known deceptions. And there's some more that we're going to talk about later because she's just gave a couple whoppers last week. But examine 3 of her well-known deceptions and then analyze the most likely pathological reason behind those lies. The first one here is in the aftermath of the Benghazi consulate attack, Mrs. Clinton repeatedly lied about this obscure, independently produced anti-Muslim video as being the cause of a spontaneous assault on the American diplomatic facility in Libya. Of course, now we know that wasn't true. She knew that wasn't true, but she had to concoct this lie to protect Mr. Obama right before the election in 2012. Her obvious motivation, in my analysis, for this lie was control and manipulation over the subsequent reporting of this heinous terrorist event. That phony talking point was also concocted to protect, again, herself and Mr. Obama from ridicule and public discovery of the actual clandestine reason that our ambassador, Chris Stevens, was in Libya. Barack Obama and Mrs. Clinton, and you've been hearing this from Trump and Ted Cruz, some of the other people that are willing to tell the truth, they created ISIS by supplying weapons, financing, and all this ran through Libya to them in Syria. Just recently, she came forth in an interview and said that she never told the surviving family members of those 4 men that bravely died in that siege that the video was the cause. Well, she's a filthy liar. She absolutely did say that. We've got her on tape saying it numerous times. It's almost like we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. Pay no attention to that man, that woman behind that curtain. Pay attention to this thing over here that I'm showing you, the Wizard of Oz. And there are people out there, Lou, that are stupid enough to be duped by that. We're not, but there are people that don't even realize the type of vile human being that she is, or that the vile human being that Barack Obama really truly is in their basic character, because they're easily fooled. That's what's happening right now. It's smoke and mirrors. Look over here. I'm going to distract you with what's actually happening. What a way to dishonor the honorable way that those men died in this attack in Libya. By the way, there's a movie coming out, I think it's in like 5 days, called 13 Hours, where we're going to get the true story. Michael Bay, the director, is going to give you the true story of what transpired there in Libya. And I'm going to go see it, and if you feel inclined to do so, please go out there and see it and get the real story. Second, Mrs. Clinton continually lied during press interviews about landing under sniper fire in Bosnia during her initial arrival for a planned visit to that nation when she was First Lady. This pathological lie is a classic example of Hillary desperately wanting things like sympathy and admiration and popularity based on a sort of a harrowing experience or harrowing incident that she supposedly bravely endured. Later on, when she was challenged by the actual videotape of that event, Mrs. Clinton was forced to begrudgingly recant her fake storyline. She misspoke or she misremembered. What the heck does that mean, Lou? I misremembered? I misspoke? I don't get it.
It's just wussy speak for I lied, and I didn't realize I was going to get caught.
I don't recall, yeah.
I misremembered is I didn't realize you were going to catch me, and I misspoke is I lied.
The guts to challenge me. I'm Hillary Clinton. I'm Hillary Rodham Clinton. How dare you?
How dare you question me?
How dare you? By the way, I get handled and questioned all the time by my producer Lou. She makes sure that I, stay on the straight and narrow.
It's my job, dude.
I was disappointed yesterday when we went up to that restaurant that Miss Stacy did not squeeze my face cheeks together. I must not have been.
All you have to do is ask her or make the wrong comment.
Well, maybe it's CPAC. And by the way, all you two listeners out there, go ahead and come on up to CPAC. It's in Maryland. I think it's like 2 to 5 March up there at the Gaylord Center, right next to D.C. Come on up and see what's going on. It'll be fun. Number 3, Hillary Clinton claimed that she was named after Sir Edmund Hillary, the famous, world-famous rock climber.
I love this one. This is like my favorite one.
Accompanied with Tenzing Norgay, was, those of you who remember history, was the first man to reach the summit of Mount Everest back well before I was born, May 29th, 1953. That was a few years after you were born, right, Lou? No?
You did not.
Well, okay. No, I'm younger than you. You know that. It's okay to admit that.
Yeah, I know.
Now, this claim that she was named after Sir Edmund Hillary is preposterous because Hillary Rodham was born on October 26, 1947, 6 years, I guess 5.5 years, before they reached the summit of Mount Everest. This blatant lie was scripted in Hillary's head because she wanted to feel important and perhaps to cover up some of her inner insecurities. And then recently, it has come to light, and this email gate's getting bigger and bigger by the week, by the day. And Dr. A has predicted that Mrs. Clinton will be indicted on this, probably soon and very soon. But it came to light that Mrs. Clinton committed several criminal acts when she used a personal email account and a personal email server while working in her position, or supposedly working in her position as Secretary of State. She ultimately decided on her own which of her emails were in the public domain and which were to be kept secret or private. That's absurd. She, of course, subsequently erased her email server, committing yet another flagrant felony. I want you to know this, that Mrs. Clinton has committed treason. So here's the question. What difference at this point does it make? She asked that question when she was being interviewed by the Judiciary Committee in Congress. What difference at this point does it make? Please allow me, Mrs. Clinton, to inform you what difference it makes. It is not important that Mrs. Clinton is, in fact, a sociopath and or a pathological liar. She is probably both rolled into one extremely wicked, evil, poisonous human being. Most likely, Mrs. Clinton cannot be cured by any known pharmaceutical, psychiatric, or beads and rattles remedy from a witch doctor. but more importantly, to the continued longevity of our beloved United States of America. Hillary Clinton cannot be trusted with any political power of any kind at any time, because she would ultimately foment upheaval and the eventual destruction of our nation. Now, we got people out there right now, the field of candidates on the Republican side is dwindling, as it should. We're vetting people. Here's my advice to the Republican Party, the GOP. Let Mrs. Clinton talk. Allow her to have a wide berth. Give her that microphone. Give her the latitude and a generous public forum during which her own lying words will ultimately convict herself in the eyes of enough members of the electorate that she will be easily defeated in November of 2016, no matter who the eventual Republican nominee might be. Currently, out on the campaign trail, my sources tell me this: Hillary and her vast array of public forum managers are desperately attempting to control Mrs. Clinton's urge to talk profusely. Her handlers, like my handler Lou Esposito, her handlers realize, they've known this from the beginning, Lou, that she is the source of her own undoing. And they, along with a lapdog media, spin doctors that they are trying to protect Mrs. Clinton from herself. But ultimately, I believe that the narcissistic urge to lie is so deeply ingrained, it's so deeply rooted in Mrs. Clinton's basic character and personality that she will not be able to stop herself.
And I think that's a really great distinction, that it's a narcissistic need to lie. It's very narcissistic.
Your chief executive that lives in the White House, he's a narcissist too.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we need to be, going forward, we need to take a lesson and be extremely careful about putting narcissists in office, because many of them want to be there. It's about power. You're taking Miss Stacey's side. You're saying that Mr. Trump is a narcissist. I did not. No, I did not. And it's not that I deny that he is. I mean, if you look at his behavior, I certainly think that there are a lot of narcissistic qualities there. But I'm not a psychologist. I'm not going to, I'm not going to psychoanalyze the guy, especially at this point.
And you're exactly right. Very astute comment. I've used this analogy before about politicians, the movie Gladiators, where it was offered to Maximus by Marcus Aurelius as he knew he was dying. He offered him, he said, I will empower you to be the next emperor and to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to bring us back to our roots, which is what this country has to do pretty quickly. Bring us back to our roots. Will you accept this great offer that I'm giving to you? And he said, with all my heart, no. He said, oh, Maximus, don't you understand? Don't you realize that's why it must be you? You want people that don't really aspire to public office, but they are compelled to go there out of a desire for public service, out of necessity, because they see all these knuckleheads around them, the Beltway bandits, who are doing such a poor job of managing the country and engaging in politics, that they have no other choice. I've got to run. And I told you that about myself the other day. I don't want to be a politician. I like to tell you about politicians, whether they're good or bad, and what's going on there, and get into that arena, and I'll fight against them, or I'll fight side by side with them. But I don't really want to be one. But every now and then it's like, you know what? I may have no choice. I may have to run against Hank Johnson in Atlanta. So that's the kind of guy or gal that you want. And they'll go in there for a couple of terms. They'll do a damn good job, and then they'll leave and go home to their family, back to their farm or their ranch or their law practice or their PR firm or whatever, and then let somebody else do their public service. That's how the Founding Fathers envisioned this, and that's the way it's supposed to be. I've got some advice to the Republican presidential candidates, and here it is. It sort of comes on the heels of what Mr. Romney did by not finishing off in that third debate, which was a foreign policy debate, your favorite subject, finishing off Barack Obama on the heels of what happened in Benghazi. He was a coward. He was basically convinced by his handlers not to finish off Mr. Obama, and that lost him the election.
And you could see it on his face.
You can
see it on his face that he was scared to go there. And I think that was all about being called racist or whatever, because that 47% thing was already out there. Let's take a quick break and actually run a commercial spot this time. And we'll come back and wrap up because we're getting close to the show. We'll be right back.
Okie doke.
K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com.
Wondering why you're up early with us on a Sunday morning making a cocktail? News lately got you drinking? Hungover from the mainstream media by Sunday? We are, and we got you covered.
We sure do. We got your hangover cure for those weekly news blues. So sit back, top off your mimosa, and add some Baileys to that coffee.
Take a match to your copy of the New York Times. Light, funny, and oh yeah, news with booze.
And a lot of laughter.
Welcome to Bloody Marys and Broadsheets.
Abolish the IRS. Take all 125,000 IRS agents and put them on our southern border.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride. Both ends of the ozone burning. Funny how the world keeps turning. Look, Mom, no hands. I love this American ride. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, wrap it up, Doc.
All right, here is my political advice to those Republican presidential candidates that are still out there on the trail seeking that GOP nomination. Finish Hillary Clinton off by boldly, courageously exposing her lies. Don't do what Mitt Romney did in that debate with President Obama. Do this with courage and conviction. Do not cower in the face of the inevitable onslaught of the media excoriation, which is going to come your way for being courageous enough to do this. Hey, GOP leadership, which I don't have a lot of respect for. Hey, GOP leadership, true conservative public policies will eventually save the United States of America. In the final analysis, true conservatism, true American patriotic conservatism is the only way to return America to her greatness. I'm not trying to, trump up Donald Trump. A political campaign, and you know this, Lou, is tantamount to a sales pitch. Learn how to aggressively sell your candidate and your conservative public policies to the electorate for the definitive good of the nation. And always remember this, true conservatives cannot and must not compromise in a bipartisan manner with members of the Communist Democrat Party. Why? Because those politicians don't have America's best interests at heart. Those politicians are trying to collapse America and bring about a Marxist communist revolution right here on American soil. Being president, Lou, is almost entirely about good character. Mrs. Clinton's basic character is evil, vile, heinous, and warped. She is totally unworthy of the fiduciary trust of the American people, as one of your heroes, John Locke, would teach us. Therefore, we cannot ever, ever give her any amount of political power. Hillary Clinton is indeed a world-class champion liar. She is a reckless sociopath with no regard for the security or the safety of America or the American people. She plays footloose and fancy-free with the lives of the American people. Why? For her own personal aggrandizement, for her own personal enrichment. And I think that second one is probably the most important one. Just recently, she ordered her staffers to simply remove the classified designation from pieces of correspondence and then just send them to her over insecure modes of transmission. Trust Dr. A in this one subject, people. Mrs. Clinton has committed high treason. Indict her now. And then if found guilty, she's innocent until proven guilty, I believe in that concept. If found guilty by an honest jury of her peers, Mrs. Clinton should receive an appropriate prison sentence. You know what, Lou, how can you tell if somebody's lying to you? Do you know? How do you know? These sociopaths they hide it. They're like alcoholics. They hide their affliction.
Yeah.
They're very charming.
Body language experts say that you look down and to the left.
Well, you do. And here's some ways to know if somebody's lying to you. And I'm going to get to body language here in a minute. They change their head position quickly. Or they stand very still while they're talking to you. Or they will, here's a good one, they instinctively will cover up vulnerable parts of their body while they're talking to you. They cover up their neck with their hands while they're talking to you. That's a sign of lying. Or they touch their mouth or cover up their mouth. That's a great indicator that somebody's lying. Or sometimes when somebody's lying to you, right in the middle of their lie, it becomes difficult for them to speak. It's almost like they're talking and also they stop. That is a sign of a liar. If they don't blink, if they stare at you without blinking much, that is another body language definitive sign that they're lying. Here's a great one. They give you too much information. I was taught as a federal agent, we went through classes at the Federal Agent Academy there in Brunswick, Georgia, how to be a witness on the witness stand in court. And it was answer the question, be very brief, be honest, tell the truth. You're under oath, you have to tell the truth, but very brief statements. Yes, no. Don't give a whole bunch of information. You've seen these stories on TV where they have these people on the witness stand who've committed these heinous crimes, and you ask them a question, and they start giving this whole litany of the story, the information. They're just lying to you. Hillary and Bill Clinton do this all the time. So does Barack Obama. Another good body language is they tend to point a lot. You know who tends to point a lot while he's talking to you and lying? Is Bill Clinton. He does it all the time. That's how you can tell if somebody's lying to you. Now, how do you tell if you're working with or you're around a sociopath? They constantly use the past tense while they're talking. Or they use cause and effect statements as they're speaking to you. Or they talk excessively about themselves, their own basic needs, if you will. They almost all the time, they don't take responsibility or blame. Who does that all the time out in the political arena? Can you name a couple that don't take blame?
Don't take blame. Hillary Clinton doesn't take blame. Barack Obama doesn't take blame. And they don't just not take blame. They find somewhere else to place the blame.
You know what? I told you that it was the JV team, but the ISIS was JV team. It's not my fault. That's what Bush told me. George W. told me they were the JV team.
That's right.
It's his fault.
It was his memo. That's right. The memo came from his administration.
How
30 seconds, Doc.
How mind raped do you have to be to believe that kind of lie? Here's the deal. Let freedom ring. God help us, like I always tell you. And I want you to always out there in your dealing with people, speak the truth and then endure those inevitable consequences. Thank you for coming to Office Hours with Dr. A. And Lou, you got the last word. The mic is yours.
Catch us Tuesdays at 5 p.m. on WNJC out of Philadelphia. You can find that on your TuneIn app as well. And we're now on SACCAD Radio. Saturdays at 11, and we're not going to mention our other time on K98 because it's the same time as our lead-in, JD and Stacy, and you wouldn't want to miss them because they're fabulous, funny, and smart. And we'll be right back here next Sunday at noon on K98 Talk, which is our home station. And we love our team at K98. No greater people on earth, and thank you to all our peeps in the chat room. We love to see you every Sunday. We have a great time with you, and you're our favorite tweeps. So we're going to get out of here, and we'll see you next week. Have a great week. Say goodnight.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, say goodbye, Dr. A. See you next week.
Goodbye.
Office Hours on WNJC is brought to you by the Conservative Commando Radio Network.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method, and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.